Hi, thanks for joining me today. It's Geraldine from the Paper Puffin Studio, and today I'm going to show you how to make this buckle card. You can see how this type of card opens with this little flap that goes into this opening. And then when you go to close it, it just tucks right back in to that little flap. This is one version that I made, and I also made one for a swap that I'm taking part in. And this one was supposed to have a theme of leaves. So I have here give thanks, and then inside thinking of you. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, please remember to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Now let's get started. Now let's review all of the pieces you're going to need to build this card. You're going to need a piece of your base color measuring 8.5 inches by 4.5 inches. You'll need another piece of that base color measuring 2 inches by 4.5 inches, and then a third piece measuring 1 3/4 inches by 1 3/4 inches. You'll need a piece of white cardstock for the inside, and that will be 2 1/4 inches by 4 inches. A piece of designer series paper that measures 2 3/4 inches by 4 inches. A piece of a coordinating designer series paper that measures 2 3/4 inches by 4 inches, and then another piece measuring 1 7/8 inch by 3 3/8 inch. I've also gone ahead and prepared all the pieces that I need to embellish this card. So using the stamp set and the coordinating dies for By the Dog, I went ahead and cut out 2 oars. I cut out this piece of greenery, and I stamped the image of the boat and colored in the boat and the water. I used the stitch shape oval to cut out this shape and a stitched shape square to cut out the sentiment that I'm going to use. I also am going to use an enamel dot to embellish, as well as some of this braided linen trim. Now I'm going to do the scoring. So I need my largest piece of the cardstock, and with the 8.5 inch edge lined up at the top, I'm going to score this at 5.5 inches. So I'll line it up at the 5.5 inch mark, make sure that I'm using my scoring blade, and score. I then will take this piece of the cardstock, and I'm going to go ahead and score this at 1 inch. So placing the 4.5 inch part up towards the edge here, I'm going to be scoring at the 1 inch mark. And that's it for the scoring. Now for assembling the card, I'll go ahead and fold and burnish those score lines. And this will be how the card will get oriented, and then this portion will be for the buckle. Now I'm going to put some glue on this flap, and then I'm going to place the glued edge on the back side of this piece of designer series paper so that this buckle portion will end up halfway in between this designer series paper. Then I'm going to put some glue on the back of this designer series paper and attach it to the card like this. I'll go ahead and do that step. Now just to show you what I've done so far, I went ahead and did the gluing, and I've got this portion now ready. You can see on the back and here. So now I'm going to take the piece of white cardstock that I cut to fit right here, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp a sentiment and a little image on here. We'll pick up there. Now I've got the white piece of cardstock attached. I stamped the happy birthday and the little fish from the By the Dog stamp set. Now I'm going to attach the piece of designer series paper to the front flap of the card right here. Now I need to make the little opening to tuck this portion inside. So to do that, I'm going to be using this punch. I'm just going to turn it over. I'm going to line it up with the flap, and I'm going to insert the paper in to the punch. Now that I have the punch hole made, I'll just make sure that everything fits nicely, and it does. So I'm happy with that. So now I'm going to go ahead and attach the piece of designer series paper that I cut onto this buckle. Now I'm ready to start doing all of the embellishing. So to do this, I'm going to get out some dimensionals, and I'm going to place a dimensional at the top here of the opening and at the bottom. I also, for this shape, am going to place 3 dimensionals along the side here. So you'll notice that they'll go along this side, the left-hand side. So I'll place them along like this. Now I'm ready to go ahead and attach the oval to the front of the card. Okay, so that portion is attached. Now I'm going to add this green piece. I'll also go ahead and attach the oars, and I'll be attaching the sentiment to this square, and this will get popped up on dimensionals right here. I'll pick up there. And so here's the finished card. I've put all of those embellishments on. I popped this up with dimensionals and put a little dot here, and you can see that when you open up the card, it's a little buckle, and it closes again, tucking that flap in. I hope you like this video. If you did, please remember to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.